Mostly it was because I think it's pretty normal to have an escape, to live in imagination. I think when you're a kid, um, we have so much imagination, and then where it's kind of pounded out of us into adulthood. But I never really got rid of my imagination. My I've always been able to just dive deep into other worlds in my head. And my dad was a big Star Trek fan, and I was a big Buffy the Vampire fan, and I just really wanted to live in like sci-fi universes. I just thought they were so much more fun and more interesting. And then as I got older, I got into like other things like historical fiction and stuff like that. But yeah, I just always wanted to explore other worlds. When you grow up in the army, um, you can be anywhere around the world, but the bases all look the same, right? They're just these cookie cutter buildings. They're really plain. They're very boring, and they're meant to be that way, right? They're not meant to stand out. And so when you live in sort of like the same housing, it looks the same. It doesn't matter where in the world you are. Housing looks like housing. Military housing looks like, and it's very boring. And so I think, yeah, whenever we're moving around and we're going from place to place, and it all kind of looks the same, and then you leave the base, and then suddenly you're like transported to this like amazing world. Um, you have to like you have to catch bits of what you see around you outside of the base and then bring it in with you. And before cell phones, before people had cameras in their pockets and you could just take pictures of things that you like, you had to like find other ways to carry it with you. And I think I would just carry it with me in my imagination. So I never met James until I stepped on set for Suicide Squad. I booked Suicide Squad off tape. So yeah, James has invited me to the last three things that I've done with him. I've only ever auditioned for him one time. I wasn't on for very long. I like 4 days. But the first day, I mean, think about it. The first day, I'm thrown into set with James. My scene partner is Peter Capaldi, who you might know of Doctor Who fame, and all of the Suicide Squad are in the back of this van, just like laying on the floor. So I have like John Cena and Idris and David and Daniela, and all of them are like just in this van, and I'm like, oh my god, they're all there. They're all there in this van, and like so it was just kind of like it was wild. It was crazy. Yeah. Good sets start from the top down, and James always runs a good set. And I think it's just because he surrounds himself with incredible and kind and hardworking people. When he makes these scripts, is really thinking deeply about things, but I love how James presents stories. He kind of like injects the medicine with the sugar. So it takes you a while to figure out like, oh, this could represent that. And oh, like the second time I watched the movie was the time that I realized, oh my God, the women, like, yeah, Superman saves the day. Lex's girlfriend and Lois Lane are really the ones that save the day. If it hadn't have been for them, these women taking risks, I got a deal memo with the name Cheryl Kimble, and I'm like immediately Googling everywhere, like, who the heck is Cheryl Kimble? Where do we see her? What has she done? Like, what can we pull from? And I got one blurb from like a Wikipedia DC page, WikiFans or Wiki whatever DC page, and with one screenshot picture of her from the comics. And that's all I had. That's all I had. And then I found out that in 2024, in Supergirl or in one of the Superman adaptation TV shows, they introduced a Cheryl Kimble character, but we had already shot our stuff by then. No, Cheryl is a established canon. I believe she is from the late 80s, early 90s. When Alien was a popular movie, there was an Alien Superman crossover. I don't know if a lot of people know this, but there's an Alien Superman crossover, and Cheryl appears in a string of those comics where she's that Lex's head of science something or other, but she appears in that universe, and it's so funny because if you look at her picture, she kind of like if I had short hair and like did it her way, like I kind of look like her. So it's really funny. I mean, I was like, it was, as an actor, well, they're all James's set, so they all feel pretty similar. In fact, we see the same crew, and that's another sign that like James is a cool person and like a good guy. Like people want to come back and work for him. So so I see the same crew. Like it's the same costumer that was on Suicide Squad, that was on Guardians, that's on Superman, and the same team. So it feels the same as far as like being at work. It feels the same. Yeah, I've gotten from a lot of people in the industry. They watch my demo reel. They watch my actor's demo reel. Can watch it on IMDb or on Instagram. But the one guy, there's an actor named Julio Cedillo. He was in Narcos and some other films. And he and I were giving a panel at a film festival, and he watched my reel and he goes, "You look like legitimately like a different person in every scene." And I took that as the highest compliment, but also then my ego was like, no one's ever going to know me. Anime thing came by accident. So I was an opera singer in a past life. And I met a woman there in my undergrad program. She was a fifth-year senior, because our program was 5 years. So she was a fifth-year senior. I was a freshman. I was a freshman struggling with intense stage fright. So like I would start singing and my throat would close up and I'd start crying and I'd felt like this incredible shame or whatever. And she just became my cheerleader. I didn't know at the time that she was a voice in Dragon Ball Z. Long story short, there's a company called Funimation that was founded in North Texas by this guy who just happened to be an anime fan and wanted to do better dubs than what was coming out. And so he would buy the rights to certain animes and dub them here in Dallas using local just nerds. And she was one of those nerds who helped basically build this whole community of voice actors in North Texas. And so when I graduated, she was directing an anime, and she needed somebody who could sing, because at the time there were some anime that they were doing a lot of pop idol anime where the characters were singing, and she had a lot of voice actors that couldn't sing, so I would stunt sing for them. So I would match the voice and then I would sing their parts, and then they would do the speaky part. But then during COVID, there was a show called Show by Rock Mashumairish, and that's a show that's by the same people who do like Hello Kitty. And they needed a strong lead singer, and so there's a woman who cast me in that. So my friend, who was the voice in Dragon Ball Z and then a voice director at Funimation, basically put my name in this other director's ear, and the other director was like, she cast me based on my singing, and then was like, but I can train you how to voice act. I can train you how to anime voice act. And she did. It was like on the job training. I do have a small collection of comic books on my shelf right now. So I told you I was a big Buffy the Vampire Slayer fan, right? So when the show ended, they continued the show in the form of comic books. And so that was my gateway drug into comics. And then there were TV shows that I ended up loving so much. TV was my gateway into comics. There were some other TV shows that kind of it kept existing in the comic world. Yeah, so I have those books. Firefly, Spike, Buffy, Angel, so basically Joss Whedon canon. But then Wanted, do you remember the movie Wanted? The comic books first. There were a few others that were like adapted, and I was like, oh, if they're going to be adapted, I want to know the original source content. And so I ended up like getting into those. But my brother was the one that would go every Wednesday to the comic book shop, because that was like comic book release day, and he had like bins of comics. And he was so happy. My brother is not the kind to throw a smile out willy-nilly. Like, he's a very kind of serious guy. He's a special ed teacher. But yeah, he wrote me a very beautiful message, saying that, like, he's so excited for this movie. Superman's always been his favorite. I mean, he was a little boy that used to pin a cape, right? Like the clothespin with the cape, and like run around the house and going zoo, like he really wanted to be Superman, and Superman's always been his favorite. So it was my second big red carpet. I've done other smaller red carpets, but that was my second one. So I was a little more prepared. I did Guardians. I did a Guardians red carpet. Guardians was my first. You know what I love about you, Uncle Funky? I love that you had a plan, and you were like, I had a suit. I had a plan, but I decided what is going to be comfortable for me. How do I want to show up today authentically as myself? And you did. And you did. And you know what? Who cares? You had your moment. Your shirt was awesome. It was fun. You just chose to go in a different direction, but like I mean, whatever. You wouldn't have stood out as much if you had worn the suit. Let me put it to you that way. Yeah. The fact that you went against the grain, you're the best kind of punk rock, You're just like, how do I show up? How do I want to show up? Okay, so the rule is word association is the first thing that I can think of, right? Hot. Yeah. No, my favorite person. Favorite condiment. My brain wants to say ketchup, but that's a lie. But that's the first thing that came to mind. Ketchup. Thank you, Curtis. Thank you, Terrence.